E-commerce retail giant Amazon has been hitting the headlines for a variety of reasons over the past several weeks. A lot of them controversial. But overall, Amazon is an important indicator, and their India sales is also an important indicator of how the economy continues to recover and pick up. Speaking to us today is a very special guest on ET Now. We have with us Mr. Amit Agarwal, India head of Amazon, joining us to talk about what the group and the company's plans are for all of 2021, and of course address some of the issues and questions that have arisen over the last few days. Amit, thank you so much for speaking with us at ET Now. Let me begin by getting your take and your outlook on 2021. Have we seen the spike in post-COVID demand, that burst of revenge buying, petering down in terms of sales?
Well, I think to answer that question, it might be good to sort of go back and ask how has COVID changed behaviors for businesses and consumers. So when I look at 2020, a very challenging year for all, but what's super exciting to see is just how well small businesses have embraced technology and reinvented themselves. So to give you some data, we had more than 1.5 lakh small businesses come online through Amazon, and the rate at which businesses are coming online has gone up by 50% compared to pre-COVID. So clearly, more and more selection and more sellers are coming online. When you kind of look at a milestone that we crossed recently, we now have more than 1 million small businesses on the Amazon ecosystem, and more than 100,000 of them are these small stores. And many small stores are thinking of online as a way to give additional footfalls to their offline businesses. So that's another trend we are increasingly seeing. So now we have more than 50,000 offline stores who are selling on Amazon. And when I just look at 2020, more than 4,100 sellers became crorepati's through Amazon. So clearly they saw a flurry of demand, small, medium businesses. Another trend that I'm seeing during COVID is many small manufacturers are creating brands and taking it to customers globally. And more than 70,000 such small sellers on Amazon now account for a cumulative $2 billion in exports. So these are some of the trends that are continuing. We see increasingly more sellers come online. On the consumer side, we continue to see the behavior that customers, compared to pre-COVID, are shopping more of their needs, and more consumers from remote parts of India are coming online. So we are seeing more new customers using local languages, which is kind of a new trend. We are seeing customers use multimodal interfaces. They use voice for shopping in addition to typing. So a lot of these trends point to us that while the COVID brought a lot more existential shopping from many of these constituents, the stable graph, if you plot the rate at which the supply and consumption has moved online, I do see a structural shift, and I think that trend is here to stay.
Just to follow up on that, Amit, do you see habit-forming changes post-COVID? And you mentioned that there's a structural shift in people moving online. Are there any numbers you can share, or what that quality of shift is? Are more people who weren't used to shopping online doing this more regularly now?
I think for me, the most exciting part was how secular the shift has been from the small businesses coming online. Because that kind of, one of the things that Indian small businesses have always been known for is that they are very entrepreneurial, they are very resilient and adaptive to change. And the right kind of small businesses, instead of just creating noise, they're actually working really hard to embrace technology, to reinvent themselves as digital and offline businesses and serve customers. And when that happens, it brings more selection online, it brings more convenience online, it brings more value online, and that brings more customers to come and shop. Because many of these customers might be shopping from these businesses and they kind of know them. And we are seeing that behavior where if they find more trustworthy names that they used to shop to, having an online presence on Amazon, and they start shopping. And once they start shopping, they start exploring other categories, and that flywheel starts spinning. And when that flywheel spins, it helps the cost structure of the whole ecosystem in ways that it brings more value to customers. So, so I would say that in terms of numbers, for me, the rate of increase of 50% sellers coming online, the new brands that are being created by startups and by small sellers, more than 73% growth in that segment. And when I look at consumers, we don't really share the growth numbers over there, but the penetration that they're coming, we see orders from 100% of India's pin codes. In our recent holiday season, in just a short period of 48 hours, we saw 99.3% of India's pin codes place orders. So clearly, there is a high degree of pervasiveness of this behavior, and that points to me that this is a very secular shift.
Just a word from you on any progress or outlook you can share for the grocery businesses, Amazon Pantry. There's a bit of rejigging that you've announced recently, and the online pharmacy business. Are these still in a very nascent stage?
Well, our grocery business is a lot more settled. We have been doing Amazon Fresh for a little bit of time in the top 10 cities, and then we had Amazon Pantry. For customers out there, Amazon Fresh offers 2-hour delivery on your everyday grocery, and Amazon Pantry provided great savings when you stock up. You buy these value packs or large packs. So we have millions of customers who actually use the Amazon grocery offering already nationally. We are in 300 cities with Amazon Pantry and top 10 cities with Fresh. What we did recently was customers have been telling us many times that they love Fresh and they love Pantry, but wish they could access both in a single store. So that's what we're doing. We're merging them together in a single experience in the top 10 cities where both are present. So I'm very excited and looking forward to how customers respond. In terms of pharmacy, it's very, very early. We are merely testing in Bangalore. It's something that customers had requested us many times during COVID, that wish they could buy prescription medicine, over-the-counter medicine on Amazon. And we listened to them. We are figuring out how the service should look like. It's very early, but we are very excited about the possibilities of serving customers in that area.
Amit, I must come to really some of the recent controversy/questions that are doing the rounds, hitting the headlines as far as Amazon is concerned. And broadly, the biggest one of them are fresh allegations that have resurfaced that Amazon may be finding loopholes within the structure of Indian law that governs e-commerce, and those are now being investigated. So specifically, let me come to it. Amazon talks about how they represent millions of small sellers and give a platform to millions of small sellers. The allegation, broadly speaking, is that a couple of sellers that Amazon has stakes in account for a lion's share of the sales on Amazon. And thereby, there is some kind of a loophole that is being flouted where no e-commerce places are allowed to sell themselves. They can only be marketplaces that connect sellers and buyers. I would like your comments on these allegations.
Well, first, I would categorically say that we have always been, and we continue to be, in complete compliance with all Indian laws, including the FDI laws and all press notes. And I've already commented on this. We haven't seen the docs, so I cannot comment on the veracity of this source of information. However, from what I've read, it's very clear to me, just reading, that the data is factually incorrect. And it is clearly a vested interest to create sensation and discredit Amazon. In fact, it's very mischievous and malicious, if you will, to conflate old data with current policy, when the policy itself has changed so many times over the last several years. So it just defies common sense, in my opinion, to try to conflate the two. Our job is to ensure that we're compliant with all the laws of the land, and we take that responsibility very seriously. in terms of some of the anecdotes that you're quoting, the facts on the ground speak of a very different reality. As I said, if I just look at 2020, more than 4,100 sellers, and I forget the exact number, but in that range, had sales of more than 1 crore. So these are new sellers, small sellers joining the marketplace, and they are enjoying tremendous success. We are seeing every day, as I said, the cumulative exports from small brands selling on Amazon has increased to $2 billion. We have so many anecdotes that we get, voices that probably are not as organized and being heard as some of these vested interests, who are telling us every day how during COVID, Amazon has not only helped them sustain, but thrive. So I can give you an example of this shop in Bangalore that realized that customers being at home would need inverters and generators, UPS sources on their house. And they listed their shop on Amazon. And within 30 days, they were making nearly 1 lakh rupees a month, which was a significant portion of their offline sales. And I hear these anecdotes all the time. So all I can say is our job is to be heads-on focused on serving customers, on empowering small, medium businesses, and driving digital inclusion, because our business priorities are 100% perfectly aligned with kind of the overstated priorities of the government of Digital India and Make in India going global. And that being successful is going to drive our own business growth. So, we are very excited about that opportunity.
No, that's fine. But, you spoke, Amit, about facts on the ground. So let me ask you specifically. Now, between Cloudtail and apparel retail combined, what would be their share in percentage terms of Amazon's all over India sales?
Well, we don't disclose the sales of any of our sellers. And these are sellers like any other sellers who have, complete autonomy to sell where they want. On Amazon, and we don't disclose those for any of our sellers.
Okay, but the question being raised and the allegation is that these sellers, which have a tie-up or a stake or an investment from Amazon, get preferential treatment, including help in tying up with suppliers at attractive prices, more access to your global sales models, etc., and they sort of get a leg up compared to everyone else. That's the core argument. So does none of this happen, or is it all happening within the realm of what you perceive as legal in India?
As I said, the information is misleading and factually incorrect. In fact, we have a program called the STEP program. You can go to the Amazon website, anybody who's selling, and look at that program. It very clearly lists down what we call as seller tiers. And it lists down the benefits that each seller gets when they cross a certain threshold of customer experience. So we have taken deep care over the years to create technology and systems that allow us to empower sellers of all sizes, shapes, and sizes. And there is a very transparent tier that sellers have access to. And we have so many sellers who have grown to become massively successful from Amazon, and I gave you some examples of quotes. I mean, we have this seller called Nature Vibe Botanicals, and they are an organic produce seller that sell Ayurvedic products. It started by a farmer cooperative. They have 85% of their sales force, their workforce that are from nearby villages. They are the fastest growing organic produce brand on Amazon. So there are so many such anecdotes, and I can go on for an hour, that point out, as I said, the facts on the ground paint a different reality.
I'm not sure they do. And there must be several small sellers that have benefited from a platform like Amazon, that have benefited from e-commerce opening up in any case across India. I have no doubt about it. Perhaps they found new customers, started exporting as well. The basic question is that are some sellers special? Are they getting special treatment? You are now telling me that that is not the case at all?
As I said, there's a program called STEP. I would encourage you to go to the Amazon website and look at it. It clearly articulates the tiers that sellers enjoy and the benefits they enjoy. we don't treat any seller in a preferential, discriminatory manner. Every seller has equal opportunity to get access to those benefits. It's very transparently listed on the website.
Okay. Let me come to the overall question of e-commerce policy and India. There is this impression, I would say, or this narrative that Amazon, and not just Amazon, major e-commerce giants, multinational e-commerce giants, are in the crosshairs of the Indian government and the e-commerce policy. How would you describe the e-commerce policy and the regulatory environment in India right now?
Well, I cannot speculate on any policy that I've not seen. I think what I can say is that in every country that Amazon operates, each country has its own unique laws and nuances. India is no different. Our responsibility as a corporate citizen of this country is to ensure that we're in compliance with all laws of the land, and within that, ensure that we are able to provide customers the experience that they expect. So when we look at India, I think when I look at e-commerce in India specifically, it's so early. It's probably like less than 3% of total retail consumption in India. And so when you think about e-commerce, how small it is and how it is already meaningfully driving digitization in ways both empowerment and inclusion, I think e-commerce and online will be an important social and economic leveler for India. And the opportunity that we have is to create a more enabling policy that drives and accelerates this digitization. So I would say that, enabling ease of business, being more proactive in helping sellers come online, removing any disparities between the burden of compliance if they are offline versus online, making it easy for businesses to take their products out of the country and export. These are examples of emphasis and focus that would actually accelerate this digitization. So I'm very hopeful that whatever we decide would enable and make this flywheel go fast.
Is it easy to coordinate and speak to government departments on e-commerce, or is there a confrontational sort of situation building in your experience? And I'm asking you a very direct question. I hope I get a direct answer, because right now we know that the Enforcement Directorate is investigating not just Amazon but other major e-commerce sellers as well. There are questions being raised, a lot of statements being made. What has been your experience in dealing with the government of India on your expansion plans?
Well, I think when you're such a meaningful catalyst in driving the economic growth of the country and impacting lives and livelihoods at such massive scales, it is okay to be inspected. I encourage questions to be asked. That is not at all. That is a complete prerogative of the government to do that. I would also say that we are in a very rare place where our business priorities are perfectly aligned with the government priorities. And why I say that is the more sellers are able to come online, so there is more digital empowerment, there will be more selection for customers to enjoy. The more digital inclusion happens, there will be more customers who are there to buy. And these are the two network effect points that drive our growth. So the priorities that we focus on, how do we empower more selection, how do we enable more selection, how do we include more customers, is perfectly aligned with government's priority of Digital India, Make in India going global, and so on. So I think there is a very constructive, healthy alignment, and questions should be asked. That's the way you move through these disruptions lockstep, and over long periods of time, these interests are perfectly aligned.
we're hearing that very soon there will be new regulations for OTT platforms and for social media as well. Overarching regulations will come to the fore. Amazon Prime has had its share of run-ins, and it's not restricted just to Amazon Prime, to be fair, with authorities, with local groups who might find something offensive in content, etc. Do you have a view or a comment to make on the fears of over-regulation of content on these platforms?
Being obsessed with serving customers, we take it as our responsibility that we offer customers complete information so that they can make more informed choices on what to watch and what not to watch. And we do that all the time. We have self-regulation and we have information transparency that allows customers to do that. At the same time, it's a very early industry. And again, you would expect the policies out there to enable growth. We provide feedback in terms of honoring customer choice, customers' empowerment of information, while still complying with the laws of the land. So I really cannot speculate on regulations that are being thought of. But in the end, much like any fledgling industry, you want to balance the need for giving customers a choice, empowering them with the information so that they can make informed choices, and at the same time be completely compliant with the law of the land. It's the right thing to do.
Let's talk a bit about the retail landscape, and over here the important part, and I must tell my viewers as well, because one of the things that Amazon is constantly in the headline for is a legal battle being waged right now with Future Retail. We have we are not going to address this with Amit in this interview because the case is sub judice, and they have requested that. I respect that, but Amit, I would like your comment on how you see the retail landscape unfolding and the kind of competition that is developing. You have, on the one hand, Flipkart backed by Walmart. You have Reliance emerging as a behemoth. There are reports that the Tata Group wants to come into retail in a big way. What does that mean for a player like Amazon?
Yeah, I think we are a very unusual company which is just obsessed with customers. And I really mean it. That's how we wake up every day in the morning, paranoid, asking ourselves and telling ourselves that customers would shop with us only until the very moment they find a better experience elsewhere. And this paranoia, if you will, has worked well for us. We have, over the last 7 years, built a service in India that is loved and trusted by customers. We have been voted the most trusted marketplace multiple years in a row. We're the largest store in India. We have the most transacting customers. We have the largest seller base on the marketplace, and Prime, one of our flagship programs, as I mentioned, is deeply loved by customers. In fact, it's one of the fastest growing membership geographies for Amazon in the world. So we are very excited by the momentum that we have. But at the same time, e-commerce is very, very early in India. It is barely 3% of total retail consumption, and there will be, we know that from all across the world, many models to serve customers. There will be many winners. And competition is good for such an early industry because it would both drive better experience for customers, it would increase investment, it would accelerate digitization, it would accelerate digital inclusion. Our job as a company at Amazon is to be heads down focused on the customer and make sure that we build an experience so that in a completely transparent world, customers choose us. And that's what we're focused on every day.
What is the next big thing for Amazon in India? Is it about payments? I have to ask you that because there's been a report recently that Amazon wants to throw its hat in the ring under the RBI's NUE policy, the new umbrella entity, by tying up with banks. How much can you share with us on your outlook for the payments system in India and Amazon's participation in that?
Well, I think payments is a very core part of the customer experience when they come to shop with you. And our strategy behind payments has been very much at the center, focused on digital inclusion. We recognize that if we are to serve hundreds of millions of customers in the country, we need to make sure that we are able to provide them an experience so that they can they can transact on a marketplace. Customers in India today can get their KYC done at their doorstep. They can upload cash in their Amazon Pay wallet. They can use UPI, the Amazon UPI. They can use Amazon Pay Later to get short-term loans. They can get EMIs for longer-term loans. So we built a broad set of payment products for customers that is relevant for all, cash only, digital natives, people who are banked, unbanked, and so on. Customers can also use the Amazon app to pretty much pay for anything that they like, to send money, pay their utility bills, buy plane tickets, and whatever they wish to do. And our focus has been essentially to ensure that customers can be included in the digital economy so that they can transact on Amazon. I cannot comment on speculations out there, but all I can say is we're super excited by our investments in Amazon Pay and our payments initiatives. And we believe that for us to be able to serve hundreds of millions of Indians and to bring them into the digital fold shopping on Amazon, this is going to be an important investment for us.
Of Fire Sticks in India and the kind of tie-ups that Amazon is working on to push the Atmanirbhar Bharat program. Are there any numbers you can share, any details of investment plans?
Well, I think, when we think about the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, it is centered on digital empowerment, digital inclusion, and Make in India, amongst other things. And as I said, Amazon's business priorities are perfectly aligned with this. We actually made a pledge in early 2020. We said we were going to invest an additional $1 billion to digitize 10 million SMBs, to enable $10 billion in exports and create 1 million jobs by 2025. And we are committed to that pledge. If you look at some of the recent news, we announced our first manufacturing line for our Fire Stick devices in India. That aligns with the idea of building India into a manufacturing hub. In fact, we have other programs, such as our global selling program that allows Indian brands to sell globally. It allows, again, Indian manufacturing to shine across the world. We also have a program called the Accelerator Program, where we provide insights to manufacturers so that they can create new brands and sell to customers. And customers can be guaranteed of quality compliant products. So these are all our initiatives to sort of build a more stronger manufacturing base in the country. We also announced our initiative with the Mahindra Group, where we agreed to electrify our delivery system. It's a part of our pledge that we had made again last year, where we said we would include 10,000 electric vehicles in our fleet as a part of our climate pledge. And we're super excited. These are made in India, three-wheelers, electrically powered. It allows us to reduce carbon emission and build a more sustainable, safer delivery operation. So we are super excited by that as well.
Amit, I'd like to wrap by just getting your take on how you see your India operations expanding. Now, overall for Amazon, the India business is still a small part of the worldwide business, but as a growing market, how do you see India in the big picture? How important is India going to become as part of the whole pie?
I think you have to look really long term. The demographics of India, very young population on the threshold of digitization. I talked about how digital empowerment and digital inclusion can really change the trajectory for India. And that's such an important priority for the government. It completely aligns with our priority to drive. So if you're imagining hundreds of millions of customers, tens of millions of business on this thriving marketplace, which is essentially becoming a daily habit now for so many Indians and a source of livelihood for so many businesses, it is a very large opportunity in the long run. You have to be patient. You have to obsess with customers. You have to invent on their behalf. And over a period of time, I am as excited as did my entire team and Amazon as well, that this would not only be an important force that drives the economic recovery of the country, but also unleashes India's potential in the 21st century. It's a big responsibility, and we are very humbled and grateful to be a part of this inflection point. And if COVID has shown anything, more and more customers, more and more small businesses are relying on us for their daily lives and livelihoods. It's a responsibility that we take very, very seriously.
All right. Thank you so much, Amit Agarwal, for speaking with us, taking all of our questions. Amit Agarwal speaking here on the outlook for Amazon India in the coming year, all of the controversies that have dogged the company as well, and reiterating their commitment to the India story.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.